Kennedy, even though it's not required to include the front of the poster, it's not mentioned anywhere. It's intuitive and it's smart, and I'm glad you did it. Now, look, we've been talking for weeks about the harmony between the front and the back of the poster. So intuitively, as a designer, it makes great sense to include the front of your poster along with the back, the iteration of the back of the poster, um, to check on adaptation, right? So that's a smart move. Thank you. I've got your work up. Let's go and take a look at the front first. It works. It works, definitely. I still think, let me see, I just want to reduce this a little bit so we can fit it in the window. Boy, I got to tell you, there's a couple of things I would recommend right now. I'm just going to I'm going to use this as a straight edge. Okay, I'm going to use the right side of this as a straight edge. And I just want to show you that the A for the subhead is, or the tagline, it's not aligned with anything. So that points to a need for improvement in alignment. My recommendation is to take this subhead and just maybe align it right there. Or I think I think the tagline's a little bit too large. I think that it should be reduced a little bit, which is interesting because most students are presenting their um, tagline as really small. But I think that right now this is just a little. When I say a little, I'm talking about a point, maybe two. But the most important thing is to get that in alignment with something. I think it's really, really important to do that because you'll see, even though it's off by just a little bit, oh, you know what? Yeah, it's just off by a little bit. We can just see. Now, you don't want to align the tip of that serif. You want to go for the meat of that stroke right there. This is a variable stroke typeface. So right about there is where you want the alignment. That will take care of that optical illusion. If you align that serif itself, it'll look like it's not in alignment. So let's get alignment intact there. Other than that, I think we're looking great. Now, I did mention this before. I still think that the stroke, this is a different typeface than this, right? I'm not real sure we need that. I'm not real sure if there's a conceptual reason. I don't see any reason in the back of doing that other than the fact that and I will talk about that in a second. Okay, so I don't know. This is, to me, it's causing a little bit of visual stress for two reasons. Number one, it's more angular than the other typefaces. Number two, the stroke width is greater than the stroke width of the rest of the typeface. So that's a little bit unsettling. Okay, but other than that, I think we're looking great. I love the concept of the stripes. And I love the way that you moved it onto the back of the poster to create your timeline. That's good stuff. Let me reduce this a little bit so we can see, and we'll go ahead and talk about uh, the layout here. I think the layout here is pretty good. The timeline itself is too big. I would definitely reduce the size of that timeline. Um, let's get a little negative space worked in here. Right now, I think that we're forcing everything to use the entire playing field of the composition. So there's really no negative space here being employed. So that would definitely be a recommendation. Okay, as far as type goes, I'm going to zoom in here and we'll take a quick look. Okay, this isn't a drop cap. Okay, I would drop that cap, and I also wouldn't indent the first paragraph. There's no need to indent a first paragraph. That we demarcate new paragraphs by either an indent or a space between, right? But not in a first paragraph. You don't have to because we know it's the first paragraph. That drop cap would be great right over there. Okay, drop the cap into the body copy instead of extending above the body copy. That'll improve the overall harmony. As far as your type goes on, I see that you've got just one long paragraph here, and I would definitely recommend that you go through here and establish your paragraphs, demarcate your paragraphs by a space between or an indent, but I prefer a space between, especially with justified type. Um, okay, watch your numbers. Numbers should be either old style through the open type menu, or they should be reduced by about 20% or so. That's covered in the course announcements. You want to take a look at that. I'm just looking for any application of. Let's see, let's start her own order. The missionaries of charity, whose primary, this isn't a quote. It's in a quotation mark, but it's not a quote. It's a title. So that would be italicized and not within a quote. Paul VI, again, you would probably reduce that just a little bit. It's too large, so that'll fall in the same category as the numbers, either old style or reduce the size by about 20% or so. Italicize proper titles. I don't really see any use of any need for small caps. If you have any areas that are using all caps, you definitely want to transpose those to small caps. 24 ST, that should be superscript. So basically, make sure that you're using your dashes correctly. M dash, N dash, M as in Mary, N as in Nancy, and your regular hyphens. Make sure you're using small caps as opposed to all caps where applicable. Make sure that you're using old style numerals or reducing the size of your numbers if old style is not available. Other than that, I think we're looking good. There's a couple of areas on the timeline that have, technically that's a widow. You want to avoid any situation where there is a word on a line alone. Okay, so to remedy that, you would just take that in and drop it to the next line. So it's just taught St. Mary's High School and then in Calcutta. Okay. Other than that, I think we're looking for superscript right there. Superscript. Okay, so basically that's it. That's what I have. So let's go ahead and address those, and then we'll take it from there. But thank you very much, and of course, if you have any questions at all, please let me know. Great start. Thank you very much for sharing.